Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's episode at Speedhaus, we are going to be doing velocity AP lowering springs on this Mclaren 720 behind me. This one came from Deatschwerks. If you're not familiar with them, they provide an amazing amount of fuel system solutions. They are located here in Oklahoma City, but ship worldwide. We're going to cut to it, get started, get this thing pulled inside. It is absolutely beautiful car. Get it set and pretty. I'm personally not a big red fan, but this thing is absolutely stunning in my opinion. And it's going to look even better getting rid of the tire gap. So we want to thank Deatschwerks for bringing this to us and letting us do the work on it. And let's get it pulled inside. Okay, so we're going to give an overview of the Mclaren suspension if you're doing lowering springs. I wouldn't really recommend trying this at home. It's a lot of work, but if you guys are that adamant about it, then I completely understand. I currently have the new ones installed. We use velocity APs with progressive progressive spring rate, sorry. If you'll notice, maybe you'll see that the spring is tapered, and they do not care how it sits. They said, it can be inverse either way, but due to my OCD, I just put the letters facing the correct way, and I put the smaller portion of the spring up top because it still sits flush. They said, you can flip them either way, long as they match side to side. So that is direct from the manufacturer. Now, as far as removal goes and replacement, pull your center bolt here. Then you'll want to pull all 4 of these. You can get to these with a 13mm socket wobble. So you got 2 here, 2 right here for the lower control arm, and then you have a 10mm here on this height sensor. Do not forget this. You pull those out and you forget this, you're going to break it, and then you're going to have a bad day. So you can pull those out, pull this off, and you can swing this control arm all out of the way. You can leave the caliper, rotor, everything, you can leave all that attached, swing it out of the way, tie it off to the side, and then it will allow you to have access to the strut. From there, you can use a coil spring compressor. You can use a couple different types. They make the ones that go on each side of it, and you manually pull them up. They also make a single-sided one that will grab this whole thing and compress the spring, and then you can spin this off. This is threaded. You will have to heat this up because it's red Loctited. So you'll grab the bar, heat this up, and then pop it loose, thread it off, drop the spring, rinse and repeat on the other side. Now for the rear, my game plan, so I'm gonna drop all the carbon, get that out of my way, pull this bolt, same procedure. I'm gonna pull this harness out of the way, pull the 4 bolts for the control arms, and I will probably pull this center bolt for the ball joint, and so that I can just get the entire control arm off out of the way. I've seen other guys pull, the entire suspension, like rotor, caliper, all that. I really don't want to do that. So I'd like to drop the control arm, open up my room around the spring, grab the spring with my compressor, compress it, drop that off, and then go from there. So we're about to find out. I'm going to set this up and start tearing this off. Okay, so my plan worked that I had for this. So I just removed the lower control arm. Spaces like that. So remove that completely and use spring compressor, compacted spring, de-threaded that end and got the spring off. So I was using these. I do have a single-sided spring compressor ordered with cups so that it fits nice and flat like my big spring compressor that I keep in the corner of the shop. But it has not showed up yet. So, you know, these are what we're working with. They do fit in there. You know, is it a little bit more tight because it's two of them? Absolutely. However, you know, sometimes you got to work with what you got when tools break and you have to order new ones. So we've been waiting 3 days for that to show up. But nonetheless, the new spring's gonna go on here shortly. I'm gonna compress this, toss that back in there, you know, put all the cups on, thread it back in, and we will be back in just a moment. Alright guys, we are basically done, so let's recap kind of how the back went before I lower this thing down and start putting trim and stuff back on. So, to recap, all 4 of these 13s on the lower control arm came off, here and here. Unbolted the sway bar from here, ride height sensor from here, shock bolt, lower ball joint, took the control arm off. Rinse and repeat on the other side. Compress the spring, drop the spring out, put the new spring in, put the writing so you can see it. Both sides, you know, same way, nothing special, nothing different on this side. And then, you know, repeat and tighten everything back up. The next step that I'm gonna do is go grab me a paint pen. You know, as you can see, like someone's been in here before and or marks from the factory. So I'm gonna go get a paint pen of a different color, put fresh marks on everything that I touched. That way, you know, it's just a safety thing for us, and so we can double check anything in the event that, you know, anything was to ever happen. So good way to just cover your butt. And so next step, you know, we'll lower this thing down, we'll put the rear diffuser back on it, put the wheels on it, get this thing on the ground. Okay, so I have gone through on every bolt and I marked it with a white paint pen on everything I've touched. Obviously I know it needs an alignment, but I'm just showing you for reference what I've done. Including the sway bar. And so next thing will be here. And then next thing I'm gonna do is put the diffuser back on, you know, continue my little mini inspection and yeah, lower it down, get the wheels on it. Diffuser and front trim. Alright guys, the Mclaren is done. It is lowered down, wheels are torqued, it is ready to go. Obviously front's going to settle some as we drive it. This is straight off the lift. So really happy with the results of this one. Need to go drive it, let the front settle. However, it is pouring rain outside right now. So we're going to wait because this thing's too pretty to go get wet and dirty. So as soon as it clears up, then she can go home. thanks to the business.